Right. And just make me host again when you get a chance, please. Thank you. Okay, Jeff, you're all ready.
All right, we will call the meeting to order at 6:01, thereabouts. Do you have an introduction for us, Cindy? You have a new staff member?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Um, I'm like, what? Put me on the spot. Trying to thinking about who entered here. Anyway, yeah. So Tina Bedard is our new office and programs assistant. So basically, she's answering the phones and she's learning all about everything vast, and she's a very quick learner. And we're really excited to have her as part of our team. She's gotten the most bizarre questions. I mean, we get weird questions on the phone, but this poor woman has really, and we can hear her. So we all kind of run out and go like, oh, no, no, yeah, tell them this, tell them that. And then one day I said to her, look, we're not doing that because you're doing a bad job. It's just you're getting the weirdest questions. And anyway, and she's really, really awesome. She's known Mandy for a while. She also has grew up snowmobiling. She lives locally, so she's close to the office. And she and her husband also ATV. They've been part of the VASA club system before, so she understands clubs and volunteers and all that kind of stuff. So, really welcome addition to our team, and we're really excited. And she's been with us for a few weeks now. And we told her she didn't have to turn her camera on, so that's why before, because I wasn't thinking about doing an introduction, so that's why that doesn't have her camera on because she's at home, but she's awesome, and we really are blessed to have her as part of our team.
That's
Welcome
great.
to the
Thank you,
team,
Cindy.
Tina.
Welcome, Tina. Okay, you got all your visitors squared away, Cindy?
I do.
Okay. Agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Windsor County will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Bennington will
Yes.
second.
Okay. Any additions? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Thank you. Secretary's report. Printed edition in your packet. Would entertain a motion to approve.
Chittenden County would move to approve the secretary's report.
Thank you, Pat. And a second, please.
Second.
Essex County.
Essex, thank you, John. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none. We'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Thank you. Patty, treasurer's report, please.
Okay, so I did email this out to everybody. Start with membership. And I know Cindy's going to cover some of this. It's like under new business, but just a reminder, I follow the dollars, not the number of TMAs or the types or anything like that. So strictly the dollar bill. And just another reminder that the revenue in these reports do not include club dues or club donations. So it's strictly the TMA portion of it, if you will.
And
Okay,
also,
so
Patty, if you don't mind, and it also is only until the end
12:30.
of December.
Yes, I should say, yeah, it's all December data. That was at the top of my email too, December 2023 data. So our numbers would differ anyway if if Cindy's going real time, or mine is just through the end of December, which does include the early bird sales. Okay, so we had about a 1.2 million in membership activity in the month of December, which was about 66% of the budget expectations, and that includes the $10 increase. So I like to do the trending. So I take the $10 out, which is about 141K, and it puts us at about 61% of the budget expectations. So if you compare that to last year we were at this time, we were at 71%. So you have the prior years to that as well. The chart you'll see now has spread out the lines. I'm just going to mention it on this particular one. It's the same for all of them that I have there. The budget line is in the orange. The season's the next one, which is the green, that shows us how close we're getting to the budget expectations. And then the third line is the orange in that particular case, which is the monthly activity. So you can see how it trends in the chart year over year as well. Income, 1.5 million, of which, just like I said, 1.2 came from membership. And that's what that's the $10 in there as well. So 126K was in the PR marketing grant line item, of which 125K was from the Green Mountain National Forest grant money, or about 58% of expected budget income. And that includes, again, the $10 increase. So last year, this time we were at 62%. This year we're at 58%. And again, that's with the $10 increase. And you have the chart for that as well. To get into expenses, expenses are about 810K. 668K of it is in trails, of which 535K was in startup grooming payments. So a lot of money went out. 108K was in, now we're on the expense side of it, the Green Mountain National Forest. So we just saw some come in on income, then it goes right back out in expense. You can see that this year and last year, the impact to the grooming rates and the startup changes, the financials that we switched last year compared to the two prior years, you can see the impact. So like 2020 and 2021, we were in the 300,000 range. Last year, we went up to almost 900, and this year, we're at 800. So you can see the major impact, the changes that we did when we changed those rates. And then projects, you have the charts there on the regular projects, and then you have the flood relief work. Regular season projects for December activities, 105K. Regular season projects for the season so far was 194K. Flood relief for December activity was about 150K, and flood relief for the season was 258K. So we're about 34% we've spent of that 750 grant money. So I know there's a lot of stuff, and I saw in Matt's report, a lot of projects approved, and I'm assuming waiting on paperwork so he can make those payments. But we've spent 258K, so we have 491 to pay out to those projects that he's approved, waiting for paperwork. And that's what I have.
Patty. I will entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Windsor County make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Thank you, Doug.
Franklin will second.
Thank you,
Who
Mike.
was second?
Franklin.
Franklin? Thank you.
Doug sounds sick.
Any questions for Patty before we put this to a vote? Okay. Well done, Patty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
You, Patty.
No tabled items, no old business, new business, TMA update. Cindy.
Yeah, so I'm gonna show you some charts, and I'm also going to show you Salesforce. So just give you an update of where we are right now, because we've sold quite a few TMAs in the past couple of weeks. Last week today, I think we sold I think it was like 55 or 60 just between noon and when I just refreshed. And I don't know if you just heard the snowmobiles outside, but I am at the motel in Island Pond, so they park right in front of your room. All right, so let me share my screen and share. Minimize. Get rid of that, so it's out of my way. Okay, so right now we're up to, these are total process. So all of the TMAs we process, these include volunteer. We're at 17,605. And these are all the different categories that includes. And then the total TMAs to date that we've processed, 17,605, like I just mentioned. Um, and last year at this time, it was 18,338. So we're catching up from where we were off just a couple of weeks ago. We were a lot farther off. This chart over here is just the paid TMAs, same as this, but this is minus the club dues. So, or yeah, no club dues in this one. So this would include like the volunteer TMAs. The same with revenue. This is all of the revenue that we've collected, 2,695,000. So we're ahead of last year because of the increase. And this is minus the club dues. So we're still ahead of last year. And I will send all these to you. I will email all these reports to you as usual. These are the revenue reports. So this will show you the revenue to date with including club dues and then one without. And then the totals broken out on early, again, the different types, but these are just the number of how many have been processed. And then, oops. We've got the clubs here. Oh, hang on, I'm letting somebody in.
I let him in, Cindy.
Okay, thank you. And you guys should be getting these reports now. Or have been getting them for the last few weeks of what your numbers are. And so that's it there. So we were looking pretty good. Thank God we just got all this snow. I do want to show you some different reports. Can you guys see this new graph that I put up?
Yes.
Okay. So basically what this is I wanted to show a trend here. So if we start at the bottom, this was 2017. This was the year after we had our brown winter. And the orange line are the early birds and the blue line are regular season. So you can see that there was apprehension in buying early birds the year after the brown winter, and it ran really into the next winter. So 1 year after no snow winter, 2 year after no snow winter. And then 2019, we ended up having a good winter in 17 and 18, pretty decent. So regular seasons, people bought more at regular season than they did early bird because they were a little shy. And so that was stronger in 2019, the early birds. And the same with 2020. And then that's when COVID hit in 2020 and we had to shut down in February. The following year was COVID, which recreation, as we know, went up these 2 years, 21 and 22, because everybody was buying snowmobiles or a lot of people were in outdoor recreating. And this is last winter, no snow until mid-January. So again, we dropped off on the early birds last year, but regular season was up. And the same this year, we really didn't have much snow at all, right prior to the season. I think we had some snow a few days before the season started and some freezing weather before that, but people are just, pretty shy. This number here is the total of the early or of TMAs, but these are different now because I just showed you in Salesforce the regular season has gone up. We've sold more, and I did this slide last week. But I just wanted to really show you because of the trend and the different things that happen because it is snow based. And, we've always said we have about 16,000 regular members, or people that usually come back. But I think more and more we're hearing that people, especially if they don't understand what we do or how we do it and how clubs rely on the membership, that they're waiting and following the snow. So the other thing that we're hearing too is that we're not the only ones affected by this. In talking to other states, they were all down. They're starting to recover now, just like we are, because of the snow that's recently come. And so that's good. But we were even told by one state that if it wasn't for our early bird, they don't even think they would have sold as many registrations as they had, because there's so many people that want to get the deal with the early bird that even when they're not registered in Vermont. Let me see here. I just want to close this. I don't want to lose you guys. All right. And then I also started to look at DMV, because we know that DMV without the stickers, kind of thinking like what's been going on with them. And these are the purple, the higher columns on the left are complete or total registrations processed by DMV, and the orange represent the people that actually registered in Vermont and then bought a TMA in Vermont. So you can see that, we've pretty much maintained right around the same, in the same trends. You're seeing those years, that uptick after COVID or during COVID. And then again, last year there was a reduction, it went down, and this year it's down, and we're not sure why. We don't know. People are getting out of it, or they're waiting for the snow to register. And possibly some are even thinking if they don't have to have the white sticker, um, they might chance it. But I wanted to sort of look at that and see what that looked like. And then lastly, this one shows, I wanted to look at, oh, I didn't know I could do this. Sorry, I've been making everybody squint. Okay, so this slide shows all the percentage of unsold TMAs based on state registration. So this was, again, I ran it last week. I wanted to look at who had bought TMAs in the past and weren't buying them this year, and what states they were from, where they were registering. So you can see that the majority, 70% of the people that didn't buy TMAs or hadn't bought them by last week, 70% were registered in Vermont, which really trends with because the majority of our registrations are in Vermont anyway. So the trending is pretty similar to overall across the board, I guess is what I want to say. That's all I got. We have talked to quite a few people that are coming here for the first time. I've seen it on Facebook too. I think you guys have all seen it, where they're like, we're coming to this certain area. Can you share, are there places to stay? We're getting calls too. So more and more people are coming here for the first time, which is really nice. But yeah. So that's about it. I mean, there's not much, we're it's good on the revenue side just because of the increase, but we'll just have to see how the rest of the winter pans out.
Yeah, I know, Cindy, I was at a club meeting this week and I said, some people will wait and not spend the money on a TMA to see if we got snow, and yeah, they're gonna take the $40 hit, but it's worth to take the $40 hit versus spending the 100 and whatever and not getting to ride. So, because you can do it instantaneously. So, if we get the weather, I think we'll make up some of that gap really well, I think.
Well, and we have. I mean, we've sold like 1,500 TMAs just in the past couple of weeks. So we are definitely making it up. And so you're right, Patty. And it is the instantaneous thing. And it's very tough. It's an expensive sport. I mean, even though the cost of living, they're saying now, like groceries are going down and all that, housing isn't. There's all the other kinds of things. Healthcare isn't. Yeah, my eggs cost $2 less a dozen. Well, I'm sorry. I only buy a dozen every 2 weeks. I mean, $2 every 2 weeks isn't gonna, you know. So anyway, but it is happening across the board. And the other thing that we're hearing is that people feel safe riding here. They they feel like we have such a variety of trails, and because we're statewide, we do have concentrated areas, obviously, where there's high traffic, consistently. And then we have other areas that if people want to come up and have never, are new riders or they want to bring their kids out and they want quieter areas, we offer that. And I think we're getting a reputation for offering that, which is really good. That's what I'm hearing. So, I mean, you still have to be responsible, but so that's all I have unless anybody has any questions about TMAs. Okay. No, you're on mute, Jeff. You're still on mute.
I know I am. There we go.
Oh.
That's better. Thank you, Cindy.
Mhm.
And moving on to 8B, club pages on the VAST website. Again, Cindy.
Yeah, this is just a quick reminder because we've been including it in the e-news too. It's really important for clubs to update their club pages on our website. And right now, we're also looking at linking the club icon on the trail map. Like right now, it just says the name of the club. We're looking at linking that to the actual club page. So it will go to the club page and it will come up and they can look at the club trails. They can look at whoever the contacts are and the information on the club. So we are including that in the e-news with links, but if you have county meetings and club meetings, if you'll remind, you can even go on and look and see which clubs, in your county, you might have some that don't have anything in there. And the link is on the forms page that, but anyway, but it's in the e-news. So if check out the e-news forwarded onto your club. So it's just a friendly reminder that we are looking at doing that with the map. So it'd be really great to have that there. And that's all I have. I know we want to talk about grooming and what's been going on with that, but I think we can do that in the next segment since it's not in the agenda for new business. So we'll just add it on to the Trails Administrator ED report.
Sounds good. Which is up next.
Which is next. All right, let me just see what this is. Oh, it's Lewis Barnes. He doesn't have internet. He's texting me to tell me he'll catch up at another time. He's in Florida and he's at a house with no internet. Um, okay, so
Okay.
I'll start off on this. I'm sure you guys have lots of questions, but in general, we've been definitely experiencing some different stuff with what's going on with grooming and we transitioned. And Matt, I know you just popped on and you can talk too because I'm just going to introduce this, but I just want to say that there's been a lot of pulling out hair at the office in the last few weeks. But we have had meetings with the GPS company and we have had meetings with Alpine. In the middle of all that, we also lost the map a few times. That was down. The host company was thinking that we had bots. And so they were thinking it was some sort of bot scam or something. Because what happened is that there wouldn't be snowing. So nobody was looking at the map. And all of a sudden the forecast changed and the map went up. Like you should see these graphs that they sent us. And so they thought it was being like attacked or something. So they shut it down. So that's why the map was being shut down so much this past week. It didn't have anything to do with Alpine or Alice tracks. And then as far as the units in the groomers go, there's a few things that we've discovered. So first off, we sent out, I think Mandy sent it today, another reminder to clubs about where to put these on the groomers. There's a lot of fear that they'll get knocked off by branches and stuff, but please reassure your clubs that these have been used in New Brunswick, Canada for 3 or 4 years now. They don't have that problem. They also are not having the problem with the pings being sent. But Matt's going to talk to you about the possibility of switching over from a mileage to an hourly basis, and that might actually help us in how the pings work from the GPS units. But one of the most important things is knowing where to put these units, because what they do is they need the best line of sight to the horizon. And so if you put it next to an exhaust pipe or you have it anywhere blocking, and it doesn't have line of sight to the horizon, it's going to lose pings for a long time. Now, obviously, you're going to lose line of sight to the horizon if you're climbing up a big hill or you're going down a big hill, but that hill shouldn't be 15 miles long or 10 miles long. And so Matt will talk to you more about pinging and hours and miles, but I just wanted to tell you that. And then there was one other thing I wanted to mention, but I can't remember what it was, so I'm sure I'll chime in at some point. But just know that we're on it, and we're just as frustrated as everybody else. I'm not ready to give up yet because it's got to work. I mean, these guys, Atlas Tracks works with like 8 to 10 different states and provinces where these work. So we're gonna get it figured out. So Matt, do you want to show show yourself? There you are.
Yeah, as Cindy was saying, one of the things we might be looking at is switching the units to a 2-minute interval where they'll grab a GPS point every 2 minutes instead of 5. That doesn't necessarily solve our problems because even at 5 minutes, they're not grabbing. So that doesn't mean at 2, they're going to any better. But I'm thinking it may help in some areas. What we're doing right now to get accurate mileage is it's supposed to grab a point every 5 minutes and send it. And where there's an algorithm on the Alpine side that puts fake points in between the known GPS points that are taken every 5 minutes. And it snaps those points to the known trail based on the GIS data. And that's where the mileage is coming from. Hypothetically, that should work well. It's not right now. That's one of the biggest complaints I'm sure all of you have heard from clubs is the mileage is under-reporting. That's been the big complaint to me as well. And it really ties back to the GPS unit not recording or grabbing points as often as it should. Instead of 5-minute packets of data, we're seeing sometimes like 30 or 50 minutes. And there's no way to add that many fake points to get accurate mileage between that big of a gap. So we've really got to refine how we're getting the satellites and the data. So that's sort of what we're working on.
And that has to do some with the placement, like we talked about.
Yeah, some of them are the placement. Like I've seen some of it. I mean, some of them I'm not sure it is that, but it could be. There's been some battery issues. There's been a whole host of issues all across the board. So trying to sort of nail them down one at a time. And the company's been good to work with. I mean, they've been helpful. It's been a daily discussion with them for the last few weeks once we started grooming. So I'm hopeful that we'll get better. One thing Cindy mentioned that has been discussed in the past, and we've talked about it today in the office, was, boy, I wonder if we went hourly and paid by the hour. What that would look like, I don't know. That's a whole, probably a subcommittee of the Trails Committee, maybe, to look into, but that's a possibility. The GPS unit would certainly tell us how many hours the machine is running, easier than it is mileage right now. But I'm hopeful we can get the mileage to work because I don't think it's easy to convert from mileage to hours. I've looked at a few different things over the years, and it would be interesting. It'd be a challenge, I think. But I mean, not that it can't be done, but it would be challenging. But it may be something we look at to try to help this whole situation out. But we are working on it. We're not ignoring anyone. We are trying, but it's taking time and a lot of back and forth. So
one of the things that these units do is if you move to hourly, what happens is like, even if you stop the groomer, let's say the operator gets out and there's a tree down and they're going to spend half an hour cutting down the tree, the GPS unit actually pauses. It recognizes that the groomer's not working. So after a few minutes, it actually goes on standby. And then once the groomer starts moving again, it starts up again. So it's based on the movement of the groomer. The other thing too is that, the clubs are keeping log sheets right now. And so unfortunately it's kind of double, but we're not looking at, taking anything away from the clubs. We're just trying to figure out the best solution. Stan's got his hand up, and then Dustin asked a question about Trails Committee meeting.
Yeah, just my question is on the hours. I mean, I know that depending on conditions, certain loops on our system, they may be able to do it in 6 hours when the conditions are good. But if it's icy or if it's, new snow, it may double that time. So I don't know how that would all shake out. As far as
Probably have to figure out averages and stuff like that. You still would have to base it on what the set miles were for those, which we have. And that's why I think the committee would have to, like there has to be some research done. This isn't something for this winter. We're just trying to figure out. The other thing is, and I know Dustin has a question about the Trails Committee. The other thing is that you guys, one thing that I discovered, I was getting a lot of groomed trails not showing up on my map. And Atlas Tracks had me when we were in a meeting, we were Zooming, I shared my screen. I was like, why you're telling me all these trails are showing groomed? They're not on my map. And he had me clear my cache. And when I did, they all showed up. So if you're hearing from people that are saying like we went out and groomed, and it's not going to be everybody. There are definitely some issues with the GPS units, but make sure you clear your browsing history, at least of like your downloads and stuff like that in your cache. It's not hard to do. If you need me to help you do it, you can even Google how to do it depending on the browser that you use. You don't want to clear everything because if you're saving passwords and stuff, it should give you a list of what you want to clear. But that helped me. All of a sudden, everything was bright purple and up again. And I was like, whoa, okay, wow, all right. So, and that, by the way, on the trail map now, when people go to the trail map, it talks about clearing the cache. We put that up last week, but most people don't read those. There's only a few sentences up there. They just scroll down to the map. So if you're hearing that, ask them, and they can even look for those directions on the trail map.
Any questions for Matt or Cindy?
Dustin had a question about the Trails Committee when they were going to meet.
Let me look at that chat. I don't know if there's one planned anytime soon, and no, there has not been one since Kurt became chair.
So Kurt's wife, Ann, broke her leg really badly, and basically was wheelchair bound. I'm not even sure she's even on crutches yet. So his life has kind of gone upended, what over bandbox, whatever you say. Anyway, so that's why there hasn't been one. Because I did send an email to Kurt right after Christmas and Jeff and said, hey, we're gonna have a Trails Committee meeting. And Kurt called me right away, and he's pretty stressed out because of all the workload that he has, and then having taking care of Anna and stuff. So that's why there hasn't been.
So hopefully, maybe we'll shoot for the month of February and see if we can get something lined up. And
I have one more thing, but Mike Burns has his hand up.
go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on, we still seem to groom a lot of closed trails. I don't know if we could put it in there where if we groom it, it at least turns yellow or something, so it doesn't look like we're grooming a closed trail. I mean, if you turn off the trails and just turn on grooming and then you turn on the trails, there's a big, sometimes there's a big difference in an area.
I think Matt can answer some of that because I had the same question the other day when my closed section of trail looked groomed. I'm like, I just drove by there. No groomer went down. So one of the issues they've been working on, and Matt, you can jump in whenever, is that if a club grooms a section of trail, it will do the whole thing, light it up as purple. It won't just end where they turned around. Did I explain that correctly, Matt?
Yeah, the points are from intersection to intersection, but Mike's just talking about, I think he's talking about in general, if it's a closed trail and the groomers are out, is that sending a mixed message? And I don't know that it's always been that way,
Yeah, I know, it's just, I didn't know if we
that
Oh,
it
could,
okay.
showed up,
So wrong, different
but we can
issues.
ask.
Well, I think there's two separate things. There's the grooming layer, which is in essence completely separate from the trails conditions layer. The grooming layer is updated when the GPS, works properly, and it goes through Alpine's site and kicks it into our map. So there's no, like, a club can't control that. It goes or it doesn't, which depends on how well the GPS is working. But the trail conditions layer, clubs can go in and update that accordingly and put them closed or open. I know recently what I saw a lot of was clubs out grooming a trail and it was closed, but they were getting through that particular run that night. And then later on that night or the next day, I would see it was open. So they're just trying to clear trees and, make sure water holes were safe enough to allow sleds through, things like that. I didn't see a lot of repeated grooming of closed trails, where it was groomed 4 times and it was closed the whole time, So I didn't see it as a big, it didn't raise concern for me, what I saw for the most part on the map.
I can speak to that in one particular case, and it might apply to others, is that early on in the grooming, there were a couple of our trails kind of loops that they groomed, or they went out with the groomer and tried to groom, and because of the conditions, felt that it wasn't safe to open them. So we left those as red, but the groomer had been over that trail in an attempt to open it. So that might be some examples of that condition.
Yeah, we get it a lot. I mean, it's just we get that a lot, that closer, especially at the beginning of the season stand, just like your club, that instance. That happens quite often. Clubs are out there with their groomer, they're clearing out the trails, but they're not ready to open them yet. They're filling in water bars and it pings. Um, if we're done with that, I have another small topic.
Sure, go ahead.
But I don't
Cindy.
want to cut anybody off.
I didn't see any other hands up. I'm kind of flipping back between screens here, so.
Okay. I just want to say that I did reach out to the governor's office again, so waiting to hear back on a ride with governor. And then next Saturday, it was weird that we really didn't have any events this past weekend, and now we've got a bunch coming up. So I'll be attending the Veterans Ride on Saturday. They did pick Island Pond as a destination, so I'll be back up here for Saturday. And then I'm thinking about heading down to Windsor County for when's your kids ride? When's the Chester Kids Ride? Is
Yeah.
that this weekend or next
17th,
weekend?
no, that's the 17th, February 17th.
Okay. Thinking about going down there for that. I'm also thinking about the Valentine's Day ride, which is is that Cavendish that does that? Yeah.
Third.
So, okay. So
Okay.
thinking about going down there. Again, encourage your clubs to put their events on the club website or our website. Because that's what I do. I look at that and then I sort of map out. But last year, I haven't been able to go out the last few years because of the change in snow. So I really want to get out there as much as I can and visit clubs while while I can go to their events and stuff like that.
Good thing about the kids ride is if there's 2 inches of snow, it's enough.
Yeah.
So even if it's a iffy conditions on the trails, we can do it.
Yeah, and I really want to see that. I'll also be going to the racing at Thunder Road. I didn't go on Saturday. They do a kids racing. It's not on the racetrack. It's near in a big field, but they do it, but it's a series. And so I want to catch a couple of, one of those too while they're doing the series. They've been doing this for a few years. And if you haven't seen it, I think what's it called, Greg? Central Vermont. Do you know what that is? The Central Vermont Kids Circuit or something?
There we go. Yes, Central Vermont. Well, I can't remember right this second, but yeah, they run in the parking lot and they do a pretty good job. It's pretty
Yeah, it
cool.
looks a lot of, they have a Facebook page. You can just search on Facebook for it. And anyway,
Yeah, I went once last year. There was a lot of people there.
mhm. All right, that's all, Jeff. That's all I have. I don't know. I don't think Matt has anything else, but I'm done.
We've also got Ride for 25 coming up this weekend too, don't we?
No, it's not this weekend. It's the first weekend is it this weekend? Ride for 25?
I believe it
Oh,
is.
Mandy just put in chat, Central Vermont 120. Oh, is this weekend? Oh, great. I'm so glad I'm gonna be back up here riding on Saturday. I mean, I love this area. It's just that they get beat on you know, on the Ride for 25. I just won't be leading the group. Mark, that'll be you now. Anyway, that's all I got. Yeah, you're right, Ride for 25.
Okay. So that wraps that up. Committee report. Mark, American Outdoor Risk Retention Group.
Okay, so I know there was an accident earlier, well, first day of the season, that sort of started us thinking about how our clubs respond to accidents. And so our committee will be meeting next week to review a standardized accident reporting form. This is just a draft that I'm showing on the screen. I'd like it so that people could either have a paper copy or a do it online, an electronic version. Because one of the things, we want to stay abreast of what's going on. We want our folks to be able to clearly write down what they saw, what they witnessed in terms of the report, because it takes a while to get police reports and other things. And we all know that the closer to the time of an event, the better the memory and recall is. So we will be going through creating a form, reviewing this form, and then trying to come up with a process or steps that we want clubs to follow if they respond to an accident on their trails, or if something like that. That way we can at least be ready if there's a claim made in the future or anything like that, because people do have up to 3 years to submit a claim. So we're trying to be a little bit proactive. Of course, we could have been more proactive if we had done this before we actually had an accident on the trails that we know about. But it did bring to mind, what could happen and how we should be prepared. So that's where we are. All I have.
Any questions for Mark on that? Sounds like a great idea and probably long overdue. Northeast chapter in USA. I know I haven't been on any of the meetings. Pat, have you checked in recently?
I did sit through the last USA meeting. One of the big issues that's poked up for folks in the Midwest is the U.S. Fishing Wildlife are thinking about categorizing the wolverine as an endangered species, which could end up screwing up some of the areas that the Midwestern folks ride in. So we're watching that fairly close. I think there's a comment period on it right now. And I did see some emails from the guys in the Northeast chapter about the ride coming up next month. But I won't be able to attend, so.
Yeah, that's first week of the middle of first week of February. It's the 7th through the 10th, I believe.
Yeah.
Over in Malone. And I guess Malone got a little bit of that snow that Buffalo got last week, so they think the trail should be in decent shape. Vermont Snow Trails Conservancy. I don't know if Jim is with us.
He's not. We did have a meeting and I don't think that there's really anything to share. We just talked about working with land trusts and things like that, and just different ways that we could broaden our scope.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. Law enforcement.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Awards and nominating, Patty?
Just, Mandy put in an e-blast, just a reminder, March 1st, the scholarship applications are due. And this year, there's 2 for $2,500 each, just so you, as a reminder to everybody, it was an increase. So to make sure that your clubs are aware of that, so they can send in their applications.
Great, thank you. Bylaws and policy, Mark.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Annual meeting, Michael Garber. Any news? Amber?
We're still working on getting it organized, so everything's going fine.
Okay, great.
You should switch that around and put Amber first and then Michael Garber.
Yeah, we probably should. Thank you, Amber. No executive committee meeting this month. Anything more financial, Patty?
Yes, just as an FYI, the club CPA review document has been updated. It's on the VAS site, same place it was under the forms tab. There's 3 areas that were updated: expenses, and these came out of the last few reviews that the CPA did. So expenses, risk management control procedures, treasurer's club reporting, and bylaws, club officer responsibility. So that is there. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out, but it's been updated. I did validate that it's been posted. So thank you, Cindy and team. And I think that's it, but it's interesting. The stuff even at our county level, we'll be adapting some of that stuff. So it's important to look it over.
Yeah, if I could also add, so the letters to the clubs that were picked have been sent and the directors were all CC'd on it. So that has been done.
And that's all I have, Jeff.
Thank you both. Long range planning, Mark.
Nothing yet.
Okay. No resource committee. Trails, we're gonna try to get that up and running again here for February. Safety, Stan.
Yeah, we met last month, and let's see, we've got some videos from the ISMA that we've put links on the website, and Mandy has kind of updated that information on the e-news. And we also had a discussion, was brought up by Mike Mustachio, and he was talking about the fact that 911 emergency calls, you don't always have to have cell coverage. You know, you look at your phone and it says no service, but that there are some special towers that they use for 911 calls. So Mike's going to write an article kind of explaining how that whole process works. And we're going to get that in a magazine here in the near future. And I also did that Zoom class with the safe Kids Vermont group that's out of UVM. And they asked if we could do something on snowmobile safety and things like who needs to have a safety certificate and how the clubs kind of operate and all of that thing. So did that last month as well. And we have a meeting coming up the 12th of February.
Great. Thank you, Stan.
I want to thank Mandy. She's really been helping out a lot with getting this message out. You know, we're still beating the drum on the hands-on for safety and the other initiatives. And Mandy's done a really great job helping us with that e-news. So thank you, Mandy, for that.
Absolutely.
I almost got hit this weekend by a guy, young guy. I'm looking at him. I'm thinking he's 16 years old, riding in a group, last one in the group. And I had stopped because it was clear that it was in a little bit of a technical part of the trail and they looked a little bit nervous. So I stopped. And sure enough, the last guy in the group, I could see him, his hand, tried to put his hand up, but when he did, you could see that his handlebars and the skis are starting to get a little bit away from him. And sure enough, just about as he got to me, he raised his hand to put up the closed fist and he hit something and he shot him across the trail. I was stopped, so it didn't hit him. But if I had been moving, we would have hit and it would have been on my side of the trail. So just another example of keeping your hands on the bars.
Stan. Governor's Council, Pat.
Governor's Council did meet the first Wednesday of the month, as we always do. And at that time, all law enforcement agencies were waiting for snow also. State police had done some checks up in the kingdom, and Fish and Game had done some stuff also, but pretty minimal at that time. I'm sure they're out a lot more now than they were. We didn't get anything from the legislators because it was their first day in session, so they were busy. But other than that, we'll do it again next week.
No, because the 31st is Wednesday.
Yeah, you're right.
The week after.
You'll have another week back.
Yep. Good. I don't have to worry about the agenda that quickly then.
I only know that because it's a 5-week pay month this month. So, all right. Anything else? Any questions for anybody? Any comments? Any concerns? Other than getting the Trails Committee back up and running. I can say that I have ridden a little better than half the LVRT now. I went from Johnson to St. Johnsbury yesterday afternoon, last night. And yes, it got very cold when the sun went down. So, but it was neat to see some of the stuff that we've been waiting, 20 plus years to actually see through Morrisville to Hardwick and some of the other stuff up through there. So, but definitely need more snow up through there as well as we do elsewhere in the state. So, anything else before we? Personnel Committee. Whoops. I did miss that one, didn't I?
I don't think I'm listed anymore. Nothing to date.
Huh. That is not listed on there anymore. I wonder. I think that was on a as need basis, I think now.
That works.
Definitely didn't forget about you personally, Julianne.
No worries.
Okay. If no one has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Windsor County make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Doug.
Washington County will second.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all.
Everyone.
Take
Good night.
care. Be
Bye.
safe.
Have a good night.